Honorable members, please, the Speaker is a presiding officer. The Speaker is not a judge. If I have to operate as a judge, there are so many questions that will have to be answered before you can take a well-considered decision in this matter. But there are three essential things you have to look at when you read that clause of the article, because it's in a context. One, vacancy occurring. Two, when. Three, time limits given to the clerk. These are very essential. It's not just about a member dying, but when did the member die? Because the time starts running from that day, not when the clerk informs in writing the electoral commission. No. So those three things are very essential in processing this matter. And so, even for you going, there's nothing wrong with it because you have heard. And even traditionally, that's what we do. So there's nothing wrong with you going there to find out whether what you have heard is really true. But that is not sufficient basis for you saying that a vacancy has occurred. There must be further evidence, because those people you met might turn out not to be the family or head of family or linguist under cross-examination. And so that is sufficient for you to show concern that a colleague suddenly has fallen. It's a shock. And so you move to try and find out. There's nothing wrong with that one. But you will want some authority, some evidence. And you don't forget the Constitution is talking about in writing. In writing. The writing will state the person is no more and it occurred on this date. Then the Electoral Commission can start counting from that date. And in the case of death, 60 days, there must be election. The clerk is given to act within 7 days. Within 7 days. And so what you've done is right by following up, because it's not only news. A leader of the House, in the person of the minority leader, has also given notice. So the clerk cannot pretend not to have heard. So you have to follow up. But to act, the clerk will need more than just that. Because in writing to the Electoral Commission, the clerk will have to state categorically that the death occurred on this date, and if possible, the time. And then the Electoral Commission will start calculating from that date. So if we have not yet received in writing that letter, the clerk, by not communicating, has not done anything wrong. Because there is no sufficient basis for the clerk to write and say, oh, this statement was made on this date on the floor, then we followed up to the family, it was confirmed, and you rely on that. Later on, some other family members can come out, and it's happened in this country a number of times. where people have come out to contest the earlier information. So we will still need some evidence to rely on for the clerk to write. But as I told you, the clerk just don't proceed to act. And the position of the speaker is always here in the House. The person might be outside the jurisdiction. But for the speaker is a creation of the Constitution and is always here. That is why you have at least 2 deputies. Even if I'm not here and they get in touch with me, I give the necessary authority, act on my behalf. That is on the administration. But presiding, they don't need that authority. Once I've left, they can preside. But administration, they will need the authority because of the law, not only the Constitution. The Constitutive Act of Parliament itself has stated it clearly when it comes to administration. So this is the guidance I can give the House. Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, when we arrived at the family house, at the residence of the deceased, and we asked, they provided the clerk with details of the incident, the hospital where the incident occurred, and the time when the incident occurred. So, Mr. Speaker, we must pay attention. We must pay attention to the language of our Constitution and what it says. I am saddened by an attempt by my colleague, the Minority Leader, to create an impression that I am being insensitive, that there is a sudden haste to rush and have a by-election and etc. So, Speaker, I really have no interest beyond my fidelity to the Constitution and the language of the Constitution. When the Constitution says, when the clerk becomes aware, and I have gone with the clerk to the family house, and the family has informed both myself and the clerk, and informed the clerk of the hospital, informed him of the time, and informed him that the doctors there confirmed, and I was sitting there with him. Mr. Speaker, so, Mr. Speaker, if after all these facts occurring on national television, we can go for the tapes and the records where they inform myself, the clerk, the Minority Leader, and about 35 other members of Parliament. They told us the hospital, the time, and then the confirmation by the doctors. Mr. Speaker, it is up to the clerk to follow up to the hospital and get the certification because he's been told, so that he can do what constitutionally he is obliged to do. For the records, no one is being insensitive here. For the records, no one is in a haste. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, I have seen posters put out by the NPP announcing the wife of the deceased as their parliamentary candidate in the by-election. Who is being insensitive here? I have seen posters announcing the wife of the deceased as their preferred parliamentary candidate in the constituency when we have not yet even performed the funeral of the deceased. So who is being insensitive? Who is being insensitive? Mr. Speaker, the Constitution is clear. The Constitution is clear in terms of the language. And that is why I am raising it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, honorable members, honorable members, enough, honorable members, enough is enough. We are getting into some other very troubling areas. So please, I told you what I did. Honorable member, honorable members, please, you are just talking about yourselves. You should at least be very, 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 very sensitive to yourselves. You are talking about yourselves. You are talking about yourselves. Please. Honorable members, let's leave it at this stage, and then leadership can discuss this using the usual channels of communication. The proper thing will be done, and definitely it's a democratic state. We'll go through what the law says we should do. I want to please plead with members that as I leave the chair, extend the same cooperation to the deputy speakers that will preside. Whatever I do when I leave the chair, I always have an eye on what is happening on the floor of Parliament. So I don't want the current orderly situation to deteriorate into anything. Let's do the business of the day. We are getting to the end of this meeting. And what I gathered since I arrived last night is that we have a lot more business to do. So let's end well. And definitely, we are all shocked by the demise of our colleague, but we're just trying to do the proper thing. And it could be any of us. I recall one member only spent, I think, 3 months in Parliament here. I think that Honorable Minister for Interior could correct me whether it's more than 3 months. I can't see him paying attention. I don't know whether it was 3 months.
The Speaker, mine was shorter. Well, he did 39 days.
39 days. 39 days, and that was a doctor. But he only spent 39 days here and died suddenly. So we've always had these shocks. This is not the first time. And what I'm just experiencing, I experienced it at that time too. These same exchanges took place. And that is what gave the public the impression that you don't matter. You don't even respect yourselves. So immediately it happens, nobody cares about the dead. They are looking at who is going to replace the dead. And I recall at Formina, I made a statement because when I went to that funeral, they were wearing the T-shirts of the candidate. And I told them that in the likely event that I am no more as a member of parliament, anybody who comes to my funeral with a T-shirt of another person will not go back. I remember that very well. God being on my side, I'm still alive. So please take this serious and let's do the proper thing. We will sit together and we'll do what is right. So the EC will properly be informed. I thank you so much. First Deputy Speaker to take the chair. Now we can move on to... No, it's question time. So, honorable members, it's question time. We'll continue with the question time. And then